Prayers.
Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness has appointed the offices of leaders in the parliament for the welfare of society, good of all human lives upon it, and the just government of its people. We beseech you to look with your abundant favor upon us, your servants, whom you have entrusted with the performance of such important trust in this community. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our attention and deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, the prosperity, welfare of this region and of those whose interests you have committed to us. Amen.
Item number 2 on the order paper, communication from the chair.
Honorable members, good afternoon. This will be the first time we are convening but before I start with this communication, I would like to inform you that I have adjusted this order paper and I dropped the item number 3 because I have taken into account that we set time limit, and that the chair is to give guidance that a member shall debate for not more than 5 minutes. Honorable members, I take this opportunity to welcome you back to the House. You remember that the last time we met, it was in December 2023 in Kigali. I welcome you all in this House and wish you a progressive New Year 2024. I also welcome you to this beautiful city of Nairobi in the Republic of Kenya. I once again wish to salute and thank His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, for accepting to grace and officially open our sittings despite his busy schedule, and for the words of wisdom delivered to us yesterday. And we look forward to his continued guidance as we carry out our legislative mandate. I also thank our hosts, the Right Honorable Dr. Moses Wetangula, Speaker of the Kenya National Assembly, and the Right Honorable Jeffer Amason Kingi, Speaker of the Kenya Senate, the members and the staff of the Parliament of Kenya, for the very warm reception that we have received since our arrival in Nairobi. I further wish to express our gratitude to the host for granting us unconditional access, not only to the precinct of Parliament, but also for excellent facilities such as this chamber, committee rooms, and offices. We also thank our colleagues of Kenya chapter for all their support. They have attended to our requests and inquiries with love and humility to make us comfortable and feel at home in Nairobi. We appreciate and thank you. Thank you, colleagues, for that. The approved program for this meeting and the business to be transacted as approved by the Commission has been circulated to you all. I therefore implore all committees to ensure that they finalize all business before them and they report to plenary as per the program. Honorable members, on your behalf, I have attended the signing ceremony of the treaty for admission of the Federal Republic of Somalia into the East African Community on 15th December 2023 at the State House in Entebbe in Kampala, in Uganda. Second, I presented Eala at the 27th Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of the Commonwealth from 3rd to 6th January 2024 were hosted by the Parliament of Uganda, where I also had a closed session with His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, the President of the Republic of Uganda, to update him on the progress of the East African Community integration agenda. We had a review meetings for the Commission and committee chairpersons from 24th to 27th January 2024 in Nairobi, Kenya. We represented the Assembly at the burial of the late Honorable Edward Ngoyai Lowassa, former Prime Minister of the Republic of Tanzania, on 7th February 24 in Monduli, Arusha. I also, on behalf of the Assembly, delivered a condolence message to His Excellency, President Samia Hassan Suluhu, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and His Excellency, President Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, upon the demise of His Excellency Ali Hassan Mwinyi, former President, the second President of the United Republic of Tanzania. Honorable members, we may rise up for a moment of silence in honor of the departed leaders. May their souls rest in eternal peace. Thank you. Honorable members, this afternoon, I am pleased to welcome and introduce to you the Right Honorable Amanya Belinda, Speaker of the East African Youth Parliament. She is here to observe our sessions as well as preside over the third EAC Youth Seminar at the University of Nairobi on 8th March 2024. I was present during her election in Arusha. She is an aspiring, young, and future leader. Thank you.
Item number 4 on the order paper as adjusted. Now item number 3. Motion for a resolution of the Assembly expressing gratitude to His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, for the impetus, guidance, and clear vision on the EAC integration agenda during his address to the East African Legislative Assembly. Motion.
Honorable Hassan Omar, move the motion.
Mr. Speaker, before I move the motion, I beg to lay on the table the speech of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, CGH, PhD.
Proceed.
That motion, that this assembly.
No, I want to know if you have seconders. I'm not sure that you have seconders.
I'm moving the motion.
You have moved?
No, I first laid the paper.
Okay, good.
And now, the speech. Now I want to move the motion that this assembly do resolve to record its comments to appreciate His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, CGH, PhD, President of the Republic of Kenya, for the impetus, guidance, and clear vision on the East African Community Integration Agenda during his speech, his address to the East African Legislative Assembly on Tuesday, 5th March, 2024.
Seconders now, do you have? The entire House. You can now justify your motion.
So, Speaker, first and foremost, is to acknowledge that this House was my first chambers of politics when I was elected Senator of Mombasa. I sat here for about 1.5 years before I finally moved to the main Senate, which you were addressed by the President yesterday. And I sat for that 1.5 years exactly for that time where the Honorable Dennis Namara is seated. May God guide you to be like me. Whereas the East African Legislative Assembly is holding its third meeting of the second session of the Fifth Assembly from 3rd to 20th March 2024 in Nairobi, in the Republic of Kenya. And whereas His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto, CGH, PhD, President of the Republic of Kenya, and member of the Summit of the East African Heads of States, graciously agreed to officially open the third meeting of the Assembly and address the Assembly during a special meeting of the Assembly held in the chambers of the Senate in the Republic of Kenya and the Parliament of Kenya on 5th March 2024. Recognizing that the roles of members of the summit include providing impetus and direction to the community, Grateful to His Excellency, the President William Samoei Ruto, for the clarity of vision and guidance on the optimal policies, strategies, and frameworks required to drive the vision of a prosperous, competitive, secure, stable, politically united East Africa, which was contained in the address of the President to the Assembly. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Assembly that the Assembly appreciates and expresses gratitude to His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto, CGH, PhD, President of the Republic of Kenya, for the impetus, guidance, and clear vision on the East African integration agenda during his address to the third meeting of the second session of the East African Legislative Assembly, held on the 5th of March, 2024, in the chambers of the Senate, Parliament of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, I think the speech made yesterday by His Excellency the President brought to fore the historical challenges that the East African community had faced, including the eventual collapse of the East African community. Oh, no seconds yet. Second verse.
Thank you, Honorable Hassan. Thank you, Honorable Hassan Omar. Honorable members, I now propose the motion that this Assembly do resolve to record its comments to appreciate His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, for the impetus, guidance, and clear vision on the EAC integration agenda during his address to the East African Legislative Assembly on Tuesday, 5th March, 2024. Debate is now open.
Mr. Speaker, let me start first and foremost by thanking the Commission for having brought this assembly or this particular sitting to the Republic of Kenya. I am greatly honored as a Kenyan and as a chapter to have had this extraordinary opportunity to host this assembly here. I know many of you are interchangeably Kenyans. Some of you reside here, have taken refuge here, have grown here, have related to Kenya in one way or another, and I as one has married here. But I do believe this is an opportunity to come in as a legislature and showcase to the Kenyan public the work of the East African Assembly. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I want to thank most profusely my chapter members who, from the time when it was communicated to us that this assembly will be held in this great Republic of Kenya, we went the extra mile to ensure that anything in our powers and capacity to deliver on the successful sitting of this assembly was done to the best of our ability. We left nothing to chance. I want to appreciate both speakers of the houses of Senate and the National Assembly, and equally the two clerks of the both houses. I also want to appreciate our two clerks, Alex Obatre and Mr. John Mutega, who have worked tirelessly to ensure that this assembly was successful. I think all the time, all of you know that when a president is to go into any event, the levels of preparedness are much higher. And therefore, I want to appreciate all those who took part in making sure that the president's official opening of this assembly was meticulous and up to the expectations of the Kenyan public and of all East Africans. I want to thank our minister. She's no longer new now. The Honorable Penina Malonza, who is here with us, who has also taken up with a lot of zeal the work of the East African Community Affairs, and has delivered a partnership to us so far as a chapter that we only can aspire for greater things. So therefore, when the president accepted to come and speak to us, it was quite a celebratory mood for us, because we knew the president's potential is to actually ensure that he locates the mandate of Eala and the parliament of Eala in the psyche of the Kenyan people. You know, this assembly is one that we are robustly asked all the time in our own nation states of what this assembly does. And I think there is an important advocacy in presidents coming to validate these types of sittings by making sure that they address the official opening. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I always laud our president for the content and the very transformative remarks he usually has. When he was elected, as some of you noted, Mr. Musamali, you said you are not sleeping with your wife in terms of watching the election results, not that you are not sleeping with your wife, as in you are awake. I think it was all of us, because we believed Kenya needed a leader who had the courage out of populism to steer the country into a new path. We were inheriting a country that was in a recession, an economy that was badly battered, and I think an integration that we needed to give more impetus to. I think our president has stood firm to cast the net, to steer the country in a new direction. He has taken bold steps locally as he now endeavors to take bold steps internationally. When he came, he had the courage to drop subsidies on consumption and fund production. Our low-hanging fruit as a country is to be an agriculturally sufficient country and ensure food security. He therefore subsidized farmers by ensuring that they were able to get subsidized fertilizers. And by God's grace, a lot of rain did follow, and we have enough food right now to feed the nation. And we hope that East Africa in its entirety will be a self-sufficient country in terms of food security. He ensured security of supply in terms of our petroleum products by getting into that contract called the G2G that has had some controversy with our neighbors, which I believe we will be able to resolve. In doing so, we were able to have a 6-month credit window, which ensured that we stabilized the Kenya shillings and ended the demand on the dollar. And therefore, the oil marketing companies that were rushing constantly to pay for oil on a cash basis eased the pressure on the Kenyan dollar, on the Kenyan shilling. Though equally, the president has taken other measures locally to ensure that we bolster manufacturing by reducing certain taxes in terms of raw material for manufacturing. The president has taken robust steps to locate the climate agenda in Kenya. The president has equally tried to locate the regional agenda. I'm happy that Mr. Speaker did acknowledge, and no contempt to people before us, that this time Kenya did nominate to Eala an extraordinarily astute group of politicians. This is also recognition that Kenya takes this community very seriously, and we don't only look at you as a market, we look at you as brothers and sisters. If I was to look at the broader phase of the Kenyan or the East African community, we are told that I personally say that I'm a Bantu here in Kenya. So does Kanini, and so does Maina Karobi and others. I was told that from history, that both Maina, Kanini, and I, long time ago, came from Cameroon and Nigeria and settled in these belts. And we found ourselves in this Eastern African community space. And so are there Bantus in other countries of East Africa. I keep saying this as a joke. Both the leaders, the president of Kenya and the leader of opposition in Kenya came from the Sudan. And therefore, you see how we have had South-South migration for a very long time. And it is no basis right now to respect colonial borders, that I cannot go to live in Burundi, that I cannot go to live in Kinshasa, that I cannot go to live in Kigali and be able to be as prosperous in any of these countries or in these capitals. And to finalize, Mr. Speaker, maybe the president says this time and again, and this was echoed by the late Mwalimu Nyerere. We have been created into small, unviable states, small, little states that are trying to compete with global economic forces like the United States and the European Union. Integration, unity is our only solution. It is the only salvation to Africa's economic progress. So, Mr. Speaker, as we transit from Kenya and as we continue to build the East African community, my request to all of you, I carry a passport, as I've said it by committee, written East African passport. but only issued by the government of Kenya. All of you carry East African passports nowadays, issued by your respective governments. So we are East African. We must drop our pseudo-nationalism to hate on others so that we create an East African identity and eventually an African identity. Of what issue is it to me if Guy Deng can come to Kenya and become the richest woman here? By stopping Guy Deng being in Kenya and working, it does not mean another Kenyan will be rich. God does not work that way. God does not work in a way that you stop the fortunes of others to build yours. Why would a South African hate on a Nigerian? These are petitions that were created against us and have been extremely detrimental to the cause of African unity and to the cause of our solidarity. So it's therefore inherent that we become one nation, one people, one destiny. And I came to this East African Parliament. Some of us thought it was just an accidental journey, but I actually believe destiny has brought me here. I have become so East African. Sometimes my brother Ngwaru says, we might not see a federation in our lifetime. I believe we will see it in our lifetime. We will see a common president, be it Gideon. When I say Gideon, I talk to three of you. One from Kenya, one from Uganda, one from South Sudan, be it Makame, or his sons, or his daughters. I am confident that one day we will have an East African state that where I can settle in Kinshasa and become the governor of Kinshasa, where I can settle in Kampala and become the governor of Kampala. And some of you can settle in Nairobi and become the governors of Nairobi, like Namara has already asked that he wants to be the governor of Westlands. So therefore, that is the East Africa we need to build, where we can go into Burundi, where we can go into Tanzania. Actually, Makame and I are people of the same country, if we were to go historically. We were part of the Sultanate of Zanzibar, Mombasa, Pemba, and Zanzibar. We were divided at the time of independence. Makame thrown to that side, I to this other. But we have gotten an opportunity now through the East Africa to become one country and one people, so that you can now come back to Mombasa. If you want to get married, I'm told most Swahilis like to get married. We have also supplies of women who could be of your taste. And vice versa, isn't it? So therefore, let's look at it that way. And I think I'm looking forward to that very integrated community. And I think that is the argument our president made. But all this is to ensure we exploit African resources for the benefit of Africans and exploitation of the African people. We must secure our minerals. We must secure our people. We must secure our future. I wanted to re-echo, in my own words, the speech of His Excellency William Ruto. He has made us all East Africans. He wants to make us all really particularly African. For that reason, I believe this East African community and all of you should be ambassadors to each other. And I'm not trying to bring an example, but I remember when we had one of the young DRC student who died in Kenya, and Honorable Dorothea called us immediately. Honorable Shabal told me, this is our daughter, and we have to act like she is our own daughter. For those many words, I beg to move this motion on the speech of His Excellency, the President, William Samoei Ruto.
Thank you. Honorable members, I advise that you could be using 5 minutes to give chances to others. And as you can see, we have now red, green, and yellow signals. Honorable Hassan, you had reached red for more times. So, honorable members, make sure that when red will come, you'll have reached 5 minutes. So, the debate open, you have the floor. I can see Honorable Namara and how we'll proceed, we'll take Honorable Namara, Honorable George. Sorry, Honorable George. I'll go to Honorable Kennedy. Then Honorable Clement. Then Honorable Dr. Makame. And now we'll consider Honorable Kanini Kega. Sorry. Gender balance. I was very good. I was considering chapters to give chance to all partner states to, we'll come back to gender balance maybe. Maybe. Now I have Honorable, no, you have Kanini Kega. And then let's stop there, but please get the list, then you advise me as clerks. Consider all of those who had asking for the plenary, you come back to me. So honorable members, remember that we have 5 minutes for everyone.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. On the onset, I want to say that I support the motion moved by the Honorable Hassan. And in the same spirit, I want to congratulate His Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, CGH PhD, President of the Republic of Kenya, and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, for the well-articulated speech he delivered before this assembly yesterday regarding the East African integration. And indeed, it was very clear that Eala, as a parliament, we are the vanguard of the East African transformation in as far as the legislation and passing policies that are going to anchor our integration agenda to greater horizons. He touched a lot of progress made by the community, particularly in the areas of trade, like the intra-EAC trade at 25%, and also the one area network, the issues of the e-passport, and showing how we are more integrated than before. And indeed, he re-echoed the feelings and the voices of so many people that integration is not a matter of luxury as put by the Honorable Samali, but is about the survival of the black race. Because if we are not careful, the way things are going, he put it clear. These Wazungu will come back to colonize us. And now they have come back in software and controlling us virtually, as Honorable Samali said. Therefore, it is our sole responsibility as a parliament to ensure that we foster the integration agenda of East Africa. However, I would want this to be very clear, and as Honorable Samali put it, I'm putting in Honorable Samali because he also gave a very good address, so I'm mixing both. As Honorable Samali said, that human resource is very, very important in as far as integration is concerned. Because without having people who are ideological, people who are clear, mission-oriented, we cannot go far. We may run, but we may not reach where we want to go because they make us crash. If you go with a pilot who spent a night drinking, or a pilot drinking alcohol, not water, and you are flying in the skies, I can assure you, however big that plane may be and sophisticated, you have high chances of crashing. So that's how we see East Africa going forward if we do not change the human resource. I want to urge the Honorable Minister from Kenya to urge His Excellency, President Ruto, and the government of Kenya and the summit that is not too late to liberate East African community. The Secretary General you gave us from Kenya. Kenya has so many people of potential. In fact, I was wondering, is this the best export Kenya could send to the community? The way we know Kenya, with visionary people, people of caliber, people of high intelligence. Honorable Minister, is that the best export in terms of human resource you could bring the community? And I'll give my reasons, and I'm saying so because human resource is critical. Honorable Minister, and Honorable Speaker, and honorable members, there is money which was given by so many countries, our partner states, called the Peace Fund. The financial rules, the treaty, the Budget Act, and all legislations provide that every money coming into the community must be appropriated. Over $6 million that has been collected, in as far as I'm concerned, that money has been spent and has never gone through appropriation. I do not know whether the Council of Ministers, you're executing your mandate, or you have decided also to go into slumberland. You cannot watch money for the people of East Africa being squandered. Because what is the reason for the Secretary General to come up with his own budget? He brought a budget, can you imagine? Before a Council of Ministers of how he intended to spend money. The Council of Ministers approved that budget. He never brought it to Parliament for appropriation. He decided to implement that budget without going through Parliament. Which level of thuggery is that? $6 million that I know of. That money has never gone through appropriation. I want to request him, before we go for another plenary, because yesterday we talked here, before His Excellency Ruto, in Kampala, His Excellency Museveni will be there. It will be worse. It is wise for him to resign immediately. He's supposed to resign immediately. Because just 1 minute to finish, honorable members, the next plenary, for your own information, will not take place. Now I'm informing you as the chairman F&A of the commission. Because the Secretary General informed us last time that he's going to bring a supplementary for some activities of Parliament to go through. He decided not to bring a supplementary. That money, some of it, used it for games, I can tell you, because there was no money for games, with an understanding that was bring a supplementary. Honorable Minister, the next budget plenary, there is no money for it. Meaning the community will not have a budget. That is the Secretary General you have. With those few words, I therefore support the motion as moved by Honorable Hassan.
Thank you. Thank you.
I beg to submit.
Honorable members, I advise you that the personal conduct of a member or any other person can only be debated through a substantive motion. Let's remain on the motion which is there. And otherwise should be lost. We have the speech, a great one that was delivered by His Excellency President Ruto. Let's get stuck on that. Otherwise, we should spoil everything. The next is Honorable Kennedy. Kennedy Mukulia. You have the floor. You have the floor.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Just to begin on the communication you have made. I want to say that some of our submissions are based on the speech of the president. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to refer you to paragraph 25 of the speech of the president, when the president said, the
25.
resource constraint which persistently hampers our progress. The resource constraint which persistently hampers our progress. This assembly has the cardinal role to make sure that we do not have the resource constraints in the committee. Right, Honorable Speaker, just immediately from what Honorable Namara said, I want to lay before this House an amount of 6 million. There's evidence of what we are saying. 6 million. Yes, this I'm laying papers is not counted. An amount of 6,600,09,711,000 of United States dollars.
That is which document?
It is my document to lay before this House as evidence of what we are saying. That the resources of this community has
The
been.
title of the document, so that we can.
It's a council consideration of the ESC Community Peace Facility Financial Report, August 2022.
August
2022 to 2023.
Thank
from what Honorable Namara is saying, that 6 million has been squandered, and it has been squandered by none other than the Secretary General of this community. If 6 million can be squandered in that nature, of which he took his budget to council, and council clearly said it, if you look at the last page, which is page 10, that directs the approval of this expenditure, and this expenditure should be coming to the parliament for approval, which has not happened. Council, you give somebody directives to spend $6 million. The person spent this money. The president, he says the meager resources we have to not be spent, and we are spending it that way. What are we doing, honorable members? For us to rescue this community, we have an individual or individuals in the service of this community to vacate their offices with immediate effect if this community has not to collapse. I do not have where to pass to give this paper. You can pass it. Right, Honorable Speaker, I have another evidence to produce before this assembly of an amount of money to close to 31,000 that has paid to an individual illegally recruited to this community when the position was filled by substantive staff. Very, very, very alarming situation. And we continue to say we need staff to this community. When you employ your own son to the service of this community, that is corruption of the highest order. I have the evidence, and by the way, for you members, this individual was paid 31,000 United States dollars. When we want to come here to Nairobi, we are denied access to funds.
Do you mean the son, his son?
Which is here. Right, Honorable Speaker, son of people in service of the community. Right, Honorable Speaker, another evidence I want to produce in response to the president's speech. To fight corruption in this community, right, Honorable Speaker, we have 17 staff of the ESC Secretariat that has traveled right now to Nairobi for budget hearing session. Where is the budget hearing session? And I have evidence of some of them that has come here. Huh? Right, Honorable Speaker, Council directed a monitoring on recruitment of staff. An advert appeared in some of the dailies, and we are continuing to recruit with a standing order of council. This has never been vacated. How will this community progress if we have such kind of things? The Human Resource Department advised against that recruitment. I'm providing an evidence to that nature. And this is the kind of the community that we are talking. Our heads of states are relying on us to save this community from collapsing. Right, Honorable Speaker, if this matter is not taken into consideration, the excellent speech given by His Excellency President Ruto will fall into River Nile, and it will be swept to Mediterranean Sea via Khartoum. Right, Honorable Speaker and members, if we want to save this community, what do we do? One destiny, 1 people. How many people to go? I submit.
Thank you, Honorable Member, Honorable Chair of GP, for providing all of these documents. We'll have to look into them and thank you. Now we give the floor to Honorable Clement Musanga-Batware.
Yeah. Right, Honorable Speaker, I support the motion moved by Honorable Hassan Omar Hassan. That Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to address my gratitude to His Excellency Honorable President William Samoei Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, for guidance and the clear vision on the EAC integration agenda during his address to the East African Legislative Assembly. Right, Honorable Speaker, I take this time to thank also the members of Kenya chapter, the Assembly, the Senate, the population of Kenya for the warm welcome and hospitality as well. During our stay in Kenya, from the arrival date up to now, we really enjoy a special treatment and hospitality in Kenya, and we really appreciate. While His Excellency Honorable William Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, was addressing the August Assembly, he said, our people's journey to a prosperous, competitive, secure, stable, and politically united East Africa entails the implementation of policies, establishment of institutions under the 4 well-known pillars of integration, namely a customs union, common market, monetary union, and the political federation, end of the court. Right, Honorable Speaker, a lot have been achieved in terms of integration, but we still have some challenges. Just to mention a few, we have an EAC travel document facilitating the movement of persons. That is very good. But we don't have, so far, one currency. Right, Honorable Speaker, I hope we will achieve our goals as expressed by His Excellency Honorable William Ruto, CGH, PhD, the President of the Republic of Kenya. He said, there is no denying that our vision to be a prosperous, competitive, secure, stable, and politically united East Africa is taking shape at a higher rate than before. Right, Honorable Speaker, once again, I support the motion moved by Honorable Hassan Omar Hassan. I submit, Right, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Now give the floor to Honorable Makame.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first of all, I'd like to thank our hosts, the colleagues from the Republic of Kenya, the Honorable Minister, the members of the Kenyan chapter, but in a very special way, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for graciously hosting us and giving us a speech that was very educative and that we are deliberating now. Mr. Speaker, from the outset, I'd like to declare that I support with all my hands and legs and egg and even head the motion of my brother Hassan Omar. And now, Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't speak much on the issue of the peace fund and the non-appropriation because, Mr. Speaker, these issues, we had already discussed them earlier. But I would point out that we had a problem during the budgeting session, and that was relating to interpretation of Article 132, and specifically Article 132.5. Because, Mr. Speaker, if you allow me to read it out in verbatim.
Treaty or
Of the treaty, yes.
Yes.
It says the resources of the community shall be utilized to finance activities of the community as shall be determined by the assembly on recommendations of the council. But these resources in this Article 132, I'm talking about it entirely, are supposed to be appropriated by the House. And they've been, and if you read it with Article 133 together. So, Mr. Speaker, we are in a space where the powers and jurisdiction of this House are being jeopardized. And I would say that we need to stand firm so that we take into account and we hold all those people who are accountable. And Mr. Speaker, at this point, let me also raise the concern on the failure of this House to have considered and debated reports of the audited financial statements as required by law. The audited financial statements of the year 1921, 2022, 23 have not yet been considered in this House. So for the ones for 1921, 2021, 2021. Thank you, Mr. President. Those ones, we need them to be considered and deliberated. There are some issues in those financial statements that we need to look into, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, also, let me direct myself to the President's speech and specifically paragraph number 12. Speaking on the monetary union, the President informs us of his desire for this assembly to expedite the monetary union process. But let me say, and this should be in record, that the Council, Mr. Speaker, needs to really assist the community, because they are the ones who brought the bills to the House, and the bills were cleared, but they are now returning. And when we see it, it's very costly to the community. And we anticipate that the Council deliberates and it has internal extensive discussions. Now, why are they returning their own bills? Why is the Council returning the bills which they brought to the House? They are the ones who cleared and brought to the House, and now they are returning them to the House. So it means that they are not actually, they didn't conclude their discussions. If they didn't conclude, why did they bring to the House? Mr. Speaker, as I saw the green light, but let me thank my brother, Honorable Paul Mwasa Musamali. Yesterday, he did a very good job on behalf of all of us, and he managed to engage our member of Summit. We saw him very happy with us, and for that we applaud him. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ability to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Makame. Now we give the floor to Honorable Dred Odongo. I'm following what my clerks gave me as
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the chance to debate the speech of His Excellency President Dr. Samoei Ruto. Right Honorable Speaker, every time we have an opportunity to be addressed by a member of Summit, they provide us with a compass. They provide us with an insight on where we are going as a community, because they are at the cockpit of decision making. And the rest of us, as institutions and organs of the community, our work is to granulate the visions of our Summit members into the nuts and bolts that put together our ambition of regional integration. So I want to thank very much the President for coming out with the very bold proposals and to challenge the Assembly to play its rightful role of ensuring that we have the right pieces of legislation, but also to ensure that we provide the right leadership and amplify the voices of the people that we lead, the citizens of East Africa. Honorable Speaker, I have a few areas that the speech of His Excellency touched and that are very, very important for our regional integration. Right, Honorable Speaker, the President in his address talked extensively about the indispensable role of peace and security.
Which paragraph?
Right, Honorable Speaker, if I have to go paragraph by paragraph, the minutes are going to run away. But I know that 19 talks about peace, stability, and security.
Thank you.
As our foremost concern.
Thank you.
Peace and security is an enabler of our integration. It's an integral part and provides the foundations on which our countries integrate. In that respect, therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, our history serves us very right that the region has grappled with providing homegrown solutions to tensions that arise between our different partner states. The speech of the President underscores the need for us to develop a robust architecture, peace and security architecture, and have the right tools within the toolbox of our peace and security architecture to be able to respond at the right time and to respond appropriately to matters of peace and security in the region. As we speak right now, Right Honorable Speaker, we know very well that the Democratic Republic of Congo is not at ease, and the East African standby force, the mandate of the East African standby force was not renewed. These are critical matters that we as an assembly and the region needs to deliberate very, very intentionally with the ambition of creating a very responsive peace and security mechanism. Right now, Speaker, the President also talked about climate change and challenged us to look at climate change as the challenge of our times. Honorable Speaker, I would like to persuade this House to look at climate change from a climate justice standpoint and avoid the trap of the weaponization of climate change, the same way we fell hook, line, and sinker to the prescriptions of the World Bank and the other institutions when they imposed on us the structural adjustment program. Most of our countries fell into it, and we took a long time to recover from those prescriptions that were cut, copy and paste for every country without understanding the context of our development. In pursuing the climate change, in trying to address climate change issues, our countries have got to address it from a climate justice standpoint, Right Honorable Speaker. The President talked about good governance, issues of investment. I will be moving in this House a motion seeking the resolution of this House to harmonize our investment policies and taxes so that we do not begin to compete within ourselves, but to position the East African community as a single investment destination. And in this way, attract the necessary capital investment and promote the region as an attractive investment destination. Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have other issues to address, but I will allow, for the sake of this debate, that other colleagues intervene. But before I do that, before I sign off, the issue of public debt is a question of public debt governance. If you interrogate the matter of public debt in our partner states, it comes down to matters of transparency in contracting of sovereign public debt. And that's a matter that we need to seek legislation, but also to implore our partner states to look at coming out with public debt management strategies
Thank
that allow
you.
for the participation of the public. Right, Honourable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable George Odongo, for your contribution. Now we give the floor to Honorable Kanini Kega.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice in congratulating His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, for his speech that he gave yesterday. Honorable Speaker, as I make that contribution, I also want to join my chair, the chapter chair, Honorable Omar, in welcoming all of you to Kenya, and we are happy to host you. In fact, Honorable Speaker, when His Excellency was making his speech yesterday, he directed Honorable Omar to make sure that he takes you to all the licensed areas. And I'm also offering myself.
Honorable Omar, where you should come in.
Yeah, he has
Call him.
Yeah, he
He's
was
there.
directed.
You can see him.
Yeah, he was directed to make sure that he takes you to all the licensed areas. And I am also offering to take you to the off license and also up country. Honorable Speaker, we are all delighted as Kenyans to host you, and we are very, very happy, Honorable Speaker. And every new day, comes with challenges, but also very many opportunities, and we are ready to exploit those opportunities. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the speech of His Excellency the President, it was very clear, and I think I believe his mind is very, very clear on where we were as EAC, where we are as EAC, and where we are going as EAC. And he was very clear in enumerating the 4 pillars: the common market, the customs union, the monetary union, the political union. And he was very clear on the role, the critical role that Eala is playing. And Honorable Speaker, if the head of state is very much aware of the role that is played by Eala, why then would we have any other institution or agency not recognizing and appreciating the role that is done by Eala? So, Honorable Speaker, he matched the words with his deeds. And you have seen that even as a country, in terms of contributions, Kenya has done its 100% contribution, Honorable Speaker. And it's something to be proud of, Honorable Speaker, because we cannot achieve this, Honorable Speaker, if we don't have resources. And I also join my chair in saying that also being a former chair of budget in the National Assembly, we have to make sure that resources are properly utilized. Resources are very limited and it must be properly utilized. And people must account for the resources that they have been given. Honorable Speaker, I want to just almost concluding by saying that he talked about us going digital. Honorable Speaker, our e-passport, internationally recognized. Now you can go anywhere in the world with the East African passport, and we are proud of it, the East African passport. Honorable Speaker, the world is going digital. However, Honorable Speaker, EAC and Eala, we are still in the Stone Age. We are still analog. Honorable Speaker, we are in these chambers. It's not the chamber that is normally used, but you look at the gadgets that are before us here, digital. The other chamber that we went to, the Senate, digital. The National Assembly, digital. But when you see a member of parliament from Eala coming to the chambers, you might think that they are carrying a lot of money because they have huge bags full of papers. Honorable Speaker, if you are able to go digital, Honorable Speaker, have these gadgets, there is no need again of Honorable Karobia coming with 2 bags. One full of papers, the other day I saw our chair budget, coming to the budget meeting, with huge documents. At some point I thought that he was giving us some money. But unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, we cannot be saying that we want to go digital, yet we are not utilizing that. Honorable Speaker, if we can get simple gadgets like this iPad here, Honorable Speaker, we will be able to be on time. Honorable Speaker, you remember, even when we are virtual, you see some individuals, some members, honorable members, struggling with their small gadgets. But if they have this one, Honorable Speaker, it will make our work easier. Honorable Speaker, finally, the AU chairmanship is coming up for grabs, and it is designated for East Africa. And if we don't go as a united front, that position might go elsewhere. And I remember His Excellency the President, without even identifying or mentioning a particular person, he said that they have sat down and they are going to sit down to make sure that they front one candidate. That is the East Africa that we want. We want where we match the talk, where we say that this is what we are doing and we do it as East Africa. So with that, with those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I believe that when that position will fall vacant, East Africa will work together and present one candidate who will be the chair of AU. And from there, Honorable Speaker, I want to assure you that East Africa will move from one height to another. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kanini Kega. Now we go to Honorable Kayonga, and then Honorable Rose Okulu. Gender.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also add my voice to the other members to congratulate His Excellency, President William Ruto, for an excellent speech and to appreciate the guidance that we have received from him. I would also like to take this opportunity to appreciate the people of Kenya for the warm hospitality that has been accorded to us in this beautiful city of Nairobi. Indeed, we have seen that Kenyans are true masters of hospitality. I know everyone can agree with me. Mr. Speaker, I would like to use my 3 minutes well by only speaking to 2 points in the presidential address. The first point that I would like to speak to, President Ruto, His Excellency, reminded us that the ultimate aim of the East Africa integration agenda is to transform and translate economic, political, social, and cultural integration into a positive impact on the well-being of every citizen of East Africa. It is very important for us as an assembly, when we are going about our business, our legislative role, our representation role, and our oversight role, to remember that everything we are doing is aimed at transforming and translating economic, political, social, and cultural integration into a positive impact on the well-being of every citizen of East Africa. The second point that I would like to speak to is the challenges that our community is facing. His Excellency, President Ruto, urged us to work on existing challenges to trade and investment, such as non-tariff barriers, which we are seeing in our oversight. While a lot has been addressed, but several show up. Some are dealt with and others show up. And we see it in our oversight, distracting and costly trade disputes, but to also stay on top of emerging threats in the digital space, which some colleagues have already spoken about, but others such as climate change, and that is where I would like to focus. So climate change, Honorable Dongo has spoken about it, but it is a clear and present danger for us. And I was fortunate to be here sometime during the Africa Climate Summit, and there were so many sessions that we attended, and we clearly, as President Ruto has urged us to support the Africa Leaders Nairobi Declaration and Call to Action. Climate change is present, and we as an assembly in the different committees where we are urged to mainstream climate change. And as Honorable Judge said, and I give you the doctor, said, it should be not driven by others. And His Excellency said it clearly in the call to action, and the Nairobi Declaration states it clearly. It shouldn't be driven by others. We should own it, understand it. And we assure you, Mr. Speaker, that we as a Committee of Agriculture and Tourism and Natural Resources are going to do what we can do to mainstream climate change, to actually capacity build this assembly in climate change and mainstream it in all that we do, whether it is in the energy sector, infrastructure sector, agriculture. We are talking about food security, it's a clear and present problem that we have to deal with, and we are assuring His Excellency, the summit, and the citizens of East Africa that we will do the best we can to deal with this challenge that is now even becoming bigger and bigger as time goes on. And with this good few minutes, I can see I'm still in green. I support the motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Now we give the floor to Honorable Rose, and then Honorable Mateus and Ole Sanko. Where is Honorable Rose? Oh, good. You have the floor.
Digital age. Yes. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to thank and also talk about this great speech that the President of this Republic, Great Republic of Kenya, gave us yesterday. First of all, I want to start by thanking the brothers and sisters of Kenya for the warm welcome and the good reception they have given us so far. We are very grateful, and we thank you for that. Right Honorable Speaker, the speech were given by His Excellency the President William Ruto of the Republic of Kenya yesterday was a very great speech. He spoke with a lot of enthusiasm and with knowledge of the subject matter he was talking about. Right Honorable Speaker, he gave us assignments as an assembly. And he took us round to say that we must know where we are. We must know our next obligations that we have to perform. And then he also positioned us vis-a-vis the African Free Trade Area, what we're supposed to do, and also positioned us vis-a-vis the global community and what we should do. But Right Honorable Speaker, there's a lot to talk about. Given the time that we have been assigned here, I just want to talk about one point, Right Honorable Speaker, which was touched on by Honorable Makami. And that is on point number 12, where His Excellency spoke with a lot of passion about how we should actualize the East African Monetary Union by 2031, and what we should provide as an assembly, that we should provide a framework to anchor full implementation of the custom union, common market protocols, and also other vital organizations such as the Monetary Institute and all that, in order to actualize the monetary union, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I was a member of the 4th Eala. And in the 4th Eala, we passed all these bills, which were a required framework, which required a legal framework, definitely, for the establishment of these institutions the President was talking about. The Monetary Institute, the Bureau, the Statistics Bureau, the Enforcement Compliance Commission, and also the Financial Services body. Right Honorable Speaker, some of these institutions should have been established a long time ago, because there are provisions in the Common Market Protocol and also the Customs Union, which require to be fully implemented before we move on to the Monetary Union. But Right Honorable Speaker, today as we speak here, I'm yet to know from Council, we have asked quite a number of questions to Council. When they are bringing amendments to the current legal framework in order for this community to actualize the implementation, first full implementation of the customs union and also the common market protocol. Because there are issues there that are very clear, very specific, that we need to do. For example, Right Honorable Speaker, the Trade Remedies Committee. In the protocol, it talks about 3 countries, each three members, that is 9, a total membership of 9. For this Trade Remedies Committee. But where are we now, Right Honorable Speaker? We are now 8. And there's need for this to be amended. But up to now, a Council will come with a generic answer. Oh, we have heard what you've said. We are going to look into it. We shall come with a bill. We shall come. It is generic. Since Eala 4 up to now. We have passed the bills, Right Honorable Speaker, and it involves money. A lot of money was used by this assembly to pass those 4 bills, legal frameworks, which are necessary for the establishment of the monetary union. Right Honorable Speaker, it is about 2 to 3 years since we passed these bills. And yet the tweet is very clear. If there is any dissenting view, if the bill should be returned to the assembly within 90 days. This is 2-3 years down the road. It was in 4th Eala, now this is 5th Eala. We have to go through the process again and spend more money. The little money that we are able to get from our taxpayers, Right Honorable Speaker, is being wasted because we are going through a vicious circle because there are some people who have decided to sit and sleep and forget the roles they're supposed to play in the integration process, Right Honorable Speaker. There's a lot to say, but I want to thank His Excellency, the President, for this great speech, and you, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to speak on this. And I hope there'll be another opportunity where we can expound on this speech even further, because there's a lot to say about this speech, Right Honorable.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Rose. Now, Honorable Matthias.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, to give me this opportunity to express my gratitude to His Excellency Dr. William Samuel Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya, upon his wonderful address to this August Assembly yesterday, 5th March. Right, Honorable Speaker, allow me to start by thanking His Excellency the President, the people of Kenya, and Kenya Eala chapter for their warm welcome. Mr. Speaker, sir, the great speech made by His Excellency the President is of a very deep wisdom. It's elaborate, coherent, and consistent. It clearly underlines the fundamental and the key pillars of the EAC regional integration, and it challenges us as Eala parliamentarians. The President calls on us to reflect on the following point. We as Eala, as EAC, and ultimately the continent, where do we come from? Where are we today? And of course, where do we want to go? This will guide and inspire us in developing real, strong, and tangible milestones for the acceleration of EAC regional integration. Right, Honorable Speaker, we want His Excellency President Dr. William Ruto to champion the reforms within the community, what I really wish and highly support. However, at the same time, we should be ready and supportive to drive and spearhead the innovative ways which, in doing things differently, mainly, for example, when it comes to accountability. Mr. Speaker, I commend this great and very inspiring speech. As for the vote of thanks by Honorable Musamari, Honorable Musamari well elaborated the deep and persistent malaise within the institution. His grievances are ours and deserve our full and strong support till things are done in one way or the other. Right, Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have Honorable Sankok, then Honorable Dr. Siranda Blacks.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the President's speech yesterday. And I thank Honorable Hassan Omar for moving this one. Honorable Speaker, I also take this early opportunity to welcome all chapters to Kenya, feel at home, visit Nairobi National Park, the only game park that's within the city in the world. You are highly welcome. Honorable Speaker, on the President's speech, this was a speech of a real Pan-African who knows where we are, where we have come from, and where we are going. At times, I'm very proud to be a Kenyan at a time when President William Samoei Ruto is the president, because he's a PhD holder, meaning he's book smart. He's also a hustler, meaning he's street smart. Combination of being book smart and street smart bring up a superhuman. And that is what our president is. Honorable Speaker, touching on issues that he touched was the issue of what we call socio-economic neocolonialism, where we are enslaved to a single currency in the name of a dollar. Honorable Speaker, if I can give an example, if Kenya took a loan of 10 billion US dollars in 2013, that was equivalent to almost 800 billion Kenya shillings. At the moment, the same 10 billion US dollar, because the exchange rate have changed, is now 1.5 trillion Kenya shillings. Meaning, in 2024, we have to pay an extra 600 billion Kenya shillings simply because of the fluctuation of the dollar. That is how we are enslaved by that particular currency. Honorable Speaker, if you can remember, I had a motion that I have brought on the issue of using local currencies in inter-country trade within East Africa. Honorable Speaker, because I see my time is up, Honorable Speaker, on the issue of our own currencies, local currencies, not to go to Uganda and exchange Kenya shillings into dollar at a fee, then from dollar to Ugandan shillings at a fee, and this fee range to almost 10%, meaning in our inter-country trade, we lose 10%, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, on 17, he talked about our economic bloc being one of the best, Honorable Speaker. We have 1.4 billion acres of land, Honorable Speaker, 5,500 kilometers of coastline, Honorable Speaker, and this land is arable, Honorable Speaker, and we have a population of 310 million people, a very big market. Lastly, on the issue of AU Commission chairmanship, Honorable Speaker, he speak of us being united and supporting one candidate, Honorable Speaker, and I want to vouch for His Excellency, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, that is the only soul alive who I believe can carry the aspiration and the dream of our Pan-African forefathers of uniting Africa into the United States of Africa. I submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Sankok. Now we give the floor to Honorable Blacks.
Right, Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, I want to join the House in seconding the motion by the Honorable Omar Hassan, by also congratulating and appreciating the energy, the vigor, and of course the motivation of the speech of His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto. You saw a speech of a person that believed in this East African community growth. But of course, in the speech, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, you saw a person that was speaking about unity and uniting this region, and not only this region, but Africa. And I have been persuaded by the Honorable Kanini Kega and the Honorable Sankok to consider withdrawing my candidature for the African Union Commission. And my chief campaigner, the Honorable Maina and Honorable Dong, will speak and sit together to agree on whether we withdraw our candidature to allow East Africa to present. Of course, at a cost, we will have to speak. And when I saw my leader saying, my president, that is going to propose, be the proposer, Right Honorable Speaker, in that spirit, I will consider with my team withdrawing our candidature so that East Africa proceeds with a one candidate for us to take that seat. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to draw you to paragraph 5 of page 3. In the speech of His Excellency the President, he clearly says that the assembly is a key pillar for us to make sure that a lot that we want to achieve within this East African East African community, the pillar is the assembly. Right Honorable Speaker, that draws to what we have been singing on the question of autonomy. The assembly that the president thinks or believes has a key role, Right Honorable Speaker. It cannot deliver the mandate that we expect it to deliver in terms of making sure that every benchmark that was set out in the treaty becomes a reality. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to urge the Council of Ministers, I know that we have a representation here, that we speed up the process of making sure that this parliament, this assembly, becomes autonomous so that the commission that is chaired by the Speaker is in position to draw agendas, and autonomy includes issues of finances. That Right Honorable Speaker, there will be no point at which you draw out an agenda for an assembly, but then you're worried where you have no resources or funding, because the priorities of the resources, sometimes when you only depend on a requisition, Mr. Clerk, you have no say on when the money will be available to you, because you may not be the priority for those that drive the community. Right Honorable Speaker, when you go to page 5, specifically, I will start with 13. Let me start with 11. Is on the question of ensuring that we speed up the process of supporting our partner states that have not fulfilled the question of the East African e-passport. Right Honorable Speaker, my committee has been urging this parliament and the community in general to make sure that we speed up the process and the deadline that have been set, that all the other partner states, Right Honorable Speaker, fulfill the agenda of having a one document so that all of us speak as a community. Right Honorable Speaker, in paragraph 3, rather paragraph 13 of the same page 15 is on the pillar of the East African integration and of course the question of political federation. The president referred to our transition to a political federation, which is a political confederation. Right Honorable Speaker, the president urged all our partner states that have not speeded up this process. Right Honorable Speaker, we urge the Council of Ministers, either it requires support or engagement, that these partner states that have not done this process, Right Honorable Speaker, we as Assembly support and encourage that they speed up the processes so that at least for the first time, we have the East African Confederation constitution so that it determines on how we'll move. And finally, Right Honorable Speaker, on that one, we believe that we should also support the committee led by Justice Odoki and Justice Amos Wako so that this process is fast-tracked, funded, and supported for us to have a hope that whatever our forefathers dreamed and came up with this East African community becomes a reality. I beg to support the motion, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Black. Thank you, Chair of the committee. Now, we will have Honorable Kakoza, Honorable Kadaga, Honorable Dr. Woda, Honorable Maina, Honorable Kimgai, and Honorable, this one, which name did you give me? Lula? Luke or who? The last name you gave me there. Luke. Honorable members, can you please come back again so that you can catch your eyes? For those who are not in this list. Clerks, can you please get the names and give me the order? Consider left and right and the gender. Let's start with Honorable Kakoza. Remember, 5 minutes. We have been going beyond. Okay. It's not easy, but please try to conform yourself with 5 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to add my voice to those who have thanked the President addressing us and highlighting the key components of the integration agenda. Right Honorable Speaker, I think the President was precise, and really we need to take a keynote of the Assembly, the Council of Ministers, that the only way we have to integrate and enforce the 4 pillars of the treaty, we must work together with the focused mission. Right Honorable Speaker, on page 23, he said, we must provide a strong framework of achieving a rapid leapfrogging and development sustainable competitive advantage in emerging high-tech fields like the digital economy in the general. As we talk today, Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the data given by the World Bank in the operations of intra-trade within the community, the cash transfers through the common market is the most expensive in the whole world. Transferring money, remittance, one country to another. I can give an example. If you transfer $200 from Tanzania to Kenya, you have to pay 35%. That one translates into $70 per $200. If you transfer 2,000, it becomes 1,400. If it's 10,000, you got 3,000 US dollars. What is needed here? In the whole world, transfer money from USA to, let's say, to Rwanda, you need only 1%. Why does it need this? Really, the Council of Ministers to bring a legal framework that harmonizes the transmission of money through cross borders. What does it take? We have the technology, we have the networks. What is it? Why don't we take interest on those non-tariff barriers that prohibit member states to transact business and will continue the economic growth of the partner states? Why should you wait to be told when we know what we are supposed to do? Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, it's simple. We create an effective policy environment which will allow for cross-border payment to benefit from advances of digital technology while guarding against macroeconomic risks like illicit finance, money laundering. It doesn't take long. If you want to make a common market that is one of the pillars to succeed, and there is no way we can transit into the African trade area without solving those non-tariff barriers, it will be a waste of time. And even if it's a dream to achieve a monetary union, when we don't deal with tariff barriers, I think now it's time we get a legal framework which does not take long and which we can solve and easy. Two, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to supplement what General Honorable Dong said about the peace and security. Really, as much as we focus on the markets and customs union, we must include focus on human being security and safety. The most important duty of any government, any internal government entity, is to protect lives and imbue those lives with dignity. Leaders should not behave like emperors of Rome. When Rome was burning, they were playing their fiddles, but they didn't know that it will affect Rome. So really, we need a serious discussion in the conflicts within the region. And this one cannot be played by anybody, by external players, because the interest of external players is totally different. It's only we partner states in the region, leaders must sit and discuss what is the problem. And they go to root of it. Otherwise, the economic growth we are talking about and all these pillars we are talking about, people will not transact business. I would like to beg that the leaders of the summit sit and discuss these candid solutions, which are simple and which cannot be taken anywhere else. I would like to end by quoting that there can be no peace without justice, and there can be no justice without truth, and there can be no truth unless someone rises up to tell you the truth. We need a candid discussion within the conflicts within the region. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Kakoza. Now we go to Honorable Dr. Woda. Please, 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity And on the onset, I want to thank the Kenyan government under the leadership of His Excellency, Dr. William Ruto. And I also want to thank the Kenyan chapter under the leadership of Honorable Hassan Omar for the hospitality and make it possible for us to have the sitting here. Right Honorable Speaker, in his remarks, His Excellency, Dr. Ruto commented and affirmed that he is with the East African community and that he is with the objective of the community. Right Honorable Speaker, also Dr. William Ruto stressed on the importance of the assembly. And let me quote from what from his speech that for a prosperous, competitive, secure, stable, and politically united East Africa, we need a strong assembly. Right Honorable Speaker, the assembly is not autonomous. The assembly is being tied down by powers which are not letting it to do the mandate which is supposed to do. So Right Honorable Speaker, from this point of view, I call upon the summit, the Council of Ministers, to really avail the autonomy to the assembly so that we are able to execute our mandate. Right Honorable Speaker, everyone, including the head of the summits, are looking at us as a savior. But when that savior is stripped of its powers, we can't accomplish more. Right Honorable Speaker, His Excellency also, as a climate change champion, alluded that we have to support the Nairobi Declaration. And I was among the members who were lucky to attend the inaugural African Summit, which was held here in Nairobi, I think last year, September 2023. And this Nairobi Summit was really very important for the head of states and all the African leaders to really put their head together so that we really face this elephant called climate change. And Right Honorable Speaker, climate change is really real and it's affected our communities. It's also affecting our countries. Right Honorable Speaker, His Excellency also called that we have really to invest and budget for the green economy and green industrial revolution. And I call upon the members of the council, and I can't see one, that we really, as a community, we have to budget and also invest in the green economy. Right Honorable Speaker, I want also to take the opportunity to congratulate the government of Kenya upon the successfulness of the African Climate Summit, which was held here, as I mentioned, and it was really something which is big and which make effect, especially for us as climate activists. Right Honorable Speaker, His Excellency also called upon the Assembly to reflect on the opportunities and more resources for regional integration. And Right Honorable Speaker, the Assembly can't do this if it is not supported by all the arms which are supposed to support it. That's why, Right Honorable Speaker, I will call again upon the head of states to really look at this problem of the Assembly not having its autonomy. Right Honorable Speaker, I'll not take much of the time because most of the remarks which I wanted to deliberate on has been discussed by my colleagues. I submit and I hereby support the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable. Now we go to Honorable Maina.
Yes, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, allow me to start with thanking you, Right Honorable Speaker, together with the Commission for bringing the plenary session this time in Kenya, and you're most welcome. And thank you for considering this country or these partner states to host the plenary session. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to support the motion by my chair and my good friend, Honorable Hassan Omar, and also say that, and also congratulate the President for the elaborate speech and address that he gave yesterday. I want to say that it was a great honor by the president to come and address us. Right, Honorable Speaker, I saw the kind of elaborate military parade that we were given yesterday, and this is only given to Parliament and the Senate. I know Mheshimiwa Sankok and Mheshimiwa Falhada, they have celebrated this in the past. So yesterday when I saw the military parade, I was happy. In fact, when I was getting in at the gate, Right Honorable Speaker, I was telling Mheshimiwa Makame, because we were using the same car, that I would never imagine 2 years ago that I would be working together with the military on a parliamentary session. So it was great, and I want to congratulate the president, and I want to also urge our minister to convey these thanks from us. Right, Honorable Speaker, there were fundamental issues that were raised from the speech, particularly on the issue of debt management. And I think we can never overemphasize the issue of debt, particularly from the third world countries and particularly the global south. I think what the speech that was delivered yesterday by the president was a speech of solutions, was a speech of where we should go as countries, was a speech of we as the assembly, or we as parliamentarians, right from the regional level, as the Eala members, and also in our respective nations, that the parliamentarians have a role to solve the debt question that is continuing to bedevil our country. Right, Honorable Speaker, you know our respective shillings and our respective currencies have been under pressure from the foreign currencies the last 4 months. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think this challenge, it is only during a crisis that we should look each other in the eye and ask ourselves, how can we solve this challenge? Right, Honorable Speaker, Eala, or the East Africa community, serves a great opportunity to solve the debt question that we have been having. And how do we solve it? First of all, is by coming up with a currency that is going to be competitive. As of now, our respective currencies, Right Honorable Speaker, are undergoing pressure from foreign currencies. We need to take charge. I like what Mheshimiwa Hassan said, that we can change things. We can change the debt question in our lifetime. And we can only change that by making sure that we implement the third pillar of our community, and that is the pillar on monetary union. So, Mr. Speaker, I like how experienced parliamentarians like Mheshimiwa Makame, Mheshimiwa Rosa Cole, they raised the issue of that in the fourth Eala, they actually passed the legal framework around this question. And I want to urge parliamentarians here, the Council of Ministers, that they need not to, that we need to work together so that we can ensure, at least in this fifth Eala, we achieve something. And the only thing that we can gift the East Africans is on the issue of monetary union. Mr. Speaker, over the weekend, we saw East Africans of all walks of life imagining of how we can be as an East African with one currency. We might have dismissed as WhatsApp, what was going around as WhatsApp hoax or as fake. But Mr. Speaker, looking at it from a positive angle, the person who was designing that note was actually speaking to us as parliamentarians, was actually speaking to the Council of Ministers, was actually speaking to the heads of summit, that we as East Africans, this is what we want, that you as political elite stop derailing us. Because I can dare say this, Mr. Speaker, and allow me to say this. It is we, the political elite, that are denying East Africans the opportunity to have a strong currency. So I want to really congratulate President William Samoei Ruto for opening our eyes that we need to take the bull by its horn and address the debt question through the monetary union. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Maina. After you, we have a long list. We have Honorable Kimgai, Honorable Luke Thompson, Honorable Dr. Ngwaru, Honorable Sadia, Honorable Umukiza, Honorable Gideon, Honorable Buri Kukie, Honorable Ngate, Honorable Francine, Honorable Shabal, Honorable Mari Mugenyi, and Honorable Kering Zipora. Honorable members,
Yes.
I think that we can, considering 5 minutes to each, with this list, we will go to 6 o'clock and something. If you agree, as the all chapters have been represented, you will have the floor. You didn't follow. I was reading the list of those who will have to speak. You are among them. Yes. So if you don't mind, we'll close with this list. Thank you. So now we give the floor to Honorable Kim Gai.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this house is a house of rule and procedure. And I think some of members are lay document on the table which are not part of the speech of His Excellency, but based on the rule of procedure, Honorable Speaker, I think you should transfer those documents to the Committee of the Legal for further more investigation and bring report to the House. That is number one, Honorable Speaker, because we cannot say it more that when we are talking about $6 million and other allegations, with the evidence, it is only that we cannot make a resolution without further more investigation from the Assembly. So I think it will be possible that this document should be referred to the Committee of Legal for more further investigation. And the other one, Honorable Speaker, in the regard of the speech of His Excellency, in the matter of the peace and security, and as you are aware, His Excellency, Dr. Somei Ruto, is the chairman of the peace negotiation of Sudan crisis, which, as you are aware, our brother and sister in Sudan, in Khartoum, have a crisis, and the AU are initiate the peace through IGAD process, and IGAD are selecting His Excellency Samuel Ruto to mediate between our brother. And also, we knew that all our partner states are hosting our brother from Sudan, and even we open our universities for hosting them. I think, Honorable Speaker, with that spirit, we still engaging our President, His Excellency, to bring a last peace for our people in Sudan. With this few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Floor to Honorable Luke Thompson. He's not there.
I donate.
Oh,
I donate my time to my colleagues.
Oh, thank you. So we go to the next, Honorable Ngwaru.
Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank you for the opportunity. I'd also like to thank the Commission and the planning meeting for hosting this plenary in Nairobi. Everyone who knows me knows that Nairobi is my second favorite venue. The first one being Dar es Salaam, of course, for obvious reasons, but I love Nairobi. I love the food, I love the people, very, very friendly people. I also spent part of my primary school here at New Mthaiga Primary School, so I'm at home. And I'm very happy. Thank you very much. As my fellow members have made brilliant submissions with respect to the speech, and they've dissected it paragraph by paragraph, I'm going to focus my short time on congratulating my fellow doctor, His Excellency, Dr. William Ruto, on an excellent speech. I've been a member of this House for 6 years now, and we've had the pleasure of being we've had the pleasure of having speeches by 5 members of Summit. And it is, well, I remember His Excellency, Dr. Magufuli, may God rest his soul in peace, giving a very strong speech about how we should be self-reliant as East African nations. We shouldn't rely on international loans. I also remember when His Excellency Yoweri Museveni talked with great passion about crops and foodstuffs and how they should not be subject to restrictions within the community. Bearing in mind these great speeches that we've heard, I think this is one of the best speeches that I have heard. And it is very, very rare, my fellow honorable colleagues, to be in the presence and to hear from a visionary. And I believe that Dr. Ruto is a visionary. And it was very clear from the president's speech that he's a proponent of Africa's financial freedom. He talked at great length about the need to do away with arbitrary international credit rankings for Africans. And knowing how the world is, it takes a man who is not only a visionary, but a man of great, strong convictions to take on the current world order. So we congratulate him on that. And we wish to encourage him to continue in the same spirit. I would also like to take this opportunity to remind the honorable members that we only have 3 years, 10 months, 24 days, and 3 hours left in our term. And I think that we haven't done enough as a House. If you listen to the speech of His Excellency yesterday, they have a lot of faith. The summit has a lot of faith in us. We need to do more. We need to pass more bills. We need to be stronger in oversight to justify the faith that is placed upon us by our leaders. With that being said, Right Honorable Speaker, I'd like to thank you again for this opportunity. And I'd like to thank my colleagues in the Kenyan chapter for being excellent hosts. Every time I see my brother Sankok, I can't help but smile. So we're looking forward to going to his place over the weekend. I was going to, everyone knows my sister is actually smiling because she knows on weekends I usually run away to Dar es Salaam. But I'm looking forward to coming to your place and explore and enjoy the Maasai culture. Honorable Speaker, I'd like to thank you again for this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Waru. Now, Honorable Sadia.
Yeah, you can.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. And I thank the Kenyan chapter for having handsomely, receive us to the city of Nairobi. So I'm really very happy. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I would like just to go briefly on the speech of the president. Right Honorable Speaker, the speech was really so remarkable. I really thank our talented, gifted president. But then my remarks will be on how it will be practically applied to our larger population of East Africa. Right Honorable Speaker, he has talked about us as African, as an African woman or African person. It's humbled my heart for us to rewrite our history, a history of not of a history of let me say it, a history of not for a history of a history which is not entails conflict, disease, and poverty. Right Honorable Speaker, when we reflect in our larger population of East Africa, our region as a whole, we could see the frustration that our citizens are going through. Right Honorable Speaker, if we are to rewrite our history as an Africa, history of not having poverty in it, disease and conflict, Right Honorable Speaker, we have to be so practical on our deliberate course of action that is taking place in our all partner state. Right Honorable Speaker, he has also emphasized about digital economy. So, Right Honorable, as a leader, I would ask myself, how many of our population are having electricity? When we look at our rural communities, they're suffering. When you talk about digital economy, me, I've been in China. So a rural farmer who is in his place cultivating can have access, to reach out to the larger population because he has the internet and the electricity. But when we look at our population, the majority of our population, they are under stress and there is no enabling environment. So I would ask the chair member, as the ministers around, we should urge our partner states, the council members, for sure we have to be so realistic to ourselves. Now I have taken like 1 year in this parliament. Like we had a resolution on the Malabo Declaration. I don't know whether it has been taken into consideration. When we look at our agricultural sector, it's really down. We also had in the beginning about supporting women and young people in the sector of economy, in private sector, to boom the private sector so that it can better their life. But I don't know whether it is really taking part in our partner states. We could not talk about Kenya only. So let us consider all the 8 partner states. So let us be practical in our action. Are we really debating for the sake of talking? Me, I'm a person who does not like talking too much. So when we talk, because like we could see, we have so many resolutions, many bills. Are they really taking effect? So it's a question of responsibility. How much does it take? The responsibility that carries along with this speech. He has really touched our hearts. Like me, as an African person, with all the resources we have, we should have a story of our forefathers. They liberate us. But now when we look at ourselves, the debts that the loans that we take, does it really affect the projects that we are taking? So we are really in problem. So we have to be realistic and we have to be leaders of integrity. If we really want to take this East Africa, if we talk about one people, one destiny, it's really a problem. Like for me, I could see the rising classes, social classes between people. You have the poor and the rich. So how do you call a slogan of one people, one destiny, when you have a social classes? I can tell you for a fact of example, India could have been very better than China if they had policies that lift people out of poverty. So when we have such a nice speech, we have to be very serious of our action that we are taking. So we need to uplift majority of our people out of poverty. When we uplift them, that's when we talk about one people, one destiny. Right, Honorable Speaker. I was also one of the person who attended the Nairobi Declaration. It was talking about transition to clean energy. So what is the implication? Imagine, let us look at the purchasing power of our population. How much are they getting? So when you talk about transition to clean energy, we need to have policies that support that. Also, we have to make sure that the purchasing power of our larger population is able to meet that. It is not about us, the class who can afford, but what about the population of EAC? Imagine 310 million. So when you have 20% who can achieve that, what about the 80%? So I just urge the chair council, the resolution have to be taken serious. It shouldn't be a matter of debating, but let us see the action in ground. So, Right Honorable, with this, I beg to stop.
The motion.
Procedure, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Musamali.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
I didn't intend to make any contribution because I believe I did enough yesterday. However, I've been disturbed by the statements which was made by the Honorable Kim Guy in as far as the documents which were presented by the Honorable Kennedy Mkuria. I'm raising on this procedural matter, and it is in line with this very debate, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Mkuria presented documents here alleging that there are things which are not going well in the community, and that those documents form part of evidence. And the person whom he is even alleging is also a member of this house. I don't know why he's not even here. So for that matter, if there is anything, so for the Honorable to claim that it should go to a committee of legal, or it should be, it's not a petition. It has been presented to this house. If the member whom the allegations have been driven to feels that he is offended, he has a right to reply. Right, Honorable Speaker. Yes, thank you. So, so the matter which I want is that we want the Honorable Kim Guy, unfortunately he has gone out, I don't know whether he's coming back, to withdraw that statement because it's an procedure and it's uncalled for, because it's even diluting the debate of this house. Those documents which have been presented, they are even in line with the speech of the president. Let me refer you to point number 18 of point number 18, point number 19, point number 21, and point number 25 of the speech. Point number 18, the president says that the work of this assembly does matters. We must therefore remain focused on what is at stake. This is the president. I don't want to complete it. Number 19, peace, stability, and security must remain our foremost concern, because they are the foundations that underlie all our pursuit of growth, development, and prosperity. Honorable Speaker, the document he was putting here, he said that this is money which was made for the peace fund. And this is the speech of the president. Where is the illegality here, which the Honorable Kim Guy is alleging? Number 21, now that we have adequately established that this assembly poses what it takes to drive our vision of a prosperous, competitive, secure, stable, and politically united East Africa, I take this opportunity to pose a couple of challenges to the honorable members gathered here. The president is telling us that we pose what it takes, and we have representative, we have one of the roles of this house is to oversight the organs and institutions of the house. So if a member has presented here evidence about fraud, about incompetence, about things which are not going out well, why should he say that this is the wrong forum? Lastly, number 21, from the president's speech, he says, to ameliorate the resource constraint which persistently hampers our progress, this assembly is called upon to reflect deeply on the range of opportunities and various ways in which it can complement national and regional efforts.
Procedure, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Mary.
Mr. Speaker, while I appreciate the presentation being made, but for many of us, we are not privy to the document that is being discussed. And we are taking a lot of time listening to Honorable Msamali, but actually lost. Where is this document? Has everybody seen it? I personally have not seen it.
So I think it would be procedurally right if we had access to this document so that we can appreciate what our colleague is talking about. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
About this document, Samali, can I respond? Can I have the floor? Because all of you're talking about is about Kim Guy contribution and Honorable Kennedy contribution.
Honorable Speaker, but I want to secure intelligence without losing this point, because I rose on the procedural point. The Honorable Mary, who is talking about documents, she came late. The documents had already been laid.
Oh,
but let me conclude it this way.
Yes, conclude this.
I was concluding it that we don't want that matter which was raised by the Honorable Kim Guy to dilute our debate, including this the evidence, or including these documents which have been raised, because they are here. And the Honorable Secretary General is a member of this House. They were raised against him. So he will have the time to respond. Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you. For me, I have just received these documents and I haven't even read them. As you members, as Honorable Mary is complaining, even me, this is the first time I am given these documents. So I think I will need to go and look into them myself. And I promise you that by Tuesday, I will rule on these documents. I will guide you, but give me.
Yes, Speaker, I'm sorry to not have concluded, but procedure, it will be correct. These documents have been forwarded to the House, and it becomes a property of the House. It could have been better that it's committed to the relevant committee to investigate and it reports back to the
that
before the ruling comes.
Way I have told you, honorable members, that I will rule on these issues on Tuesday afternoon during the plenary. Now we can go to Honorable Umukiza. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the floor. I rise to also support the motion. This motion that is really relevant and timely. Let me call a motion brought by the Kenya chapter through the chair chapter. Thank you very much for bringing in, allowing us to debate on this motion. It's very important. And on the onset, I also rise to congratulate His Excellency William Samuel Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, for also addressing the House yesterday. It was insightful. That's why I take this opportunity to also comment on the content of the speech that is also constructive and also educative, if you can see. I concentrated on page 7 of this speech, especially number 20, 21, and 22. Mr. Speaker, sir, as you can see, His Excellency, the President, mentioned that as we continue to work on such challenges, all the challenges that are brought, I'm not going to repeat all of them, to the growth of trade and investment as the persistent non-tariff barriers. Honorable Kakoza tackled them. I'm not going to repeat, but we have these non-tariff barriers challenges that are distracting, and we have costly trade disputes. And also I looked at conflicting tax regime or regimes in plural. There are many of them. And we have also kind of challenges that we were given by His Excellency yesterday. This is 21. These challenges, we have to look at them and bring solutions. We had to bring solutions, not to complain. So the time I was reading through, I managed to look at the challenges that we are yet to bring solutions as a house. You know, our core functions are legislation, oversight, and representation of EAC citizens. As you can know, we are singing, Honorable Sadia said, one people, one destiny. I'm also adding that one of the principles of EAC as a region is people-centeredness and also market-driven or private sector-driven community. That's why I'm talking of here, private sector that was mentioned by His Excellency, and also we have to get prepared as we are having emerging threats. And those emerging threats are also impeding on the progress of private sector and people-centeredness. I found out that the implementation of the EAC Common External Tariff 2022 version needs to be kind of given attention. I also have found out that harmonization of customs and domestic taxes are at an urgent pace. Honorable Odongo said he's going to bring a motion. So we're waiting for that motion to see if it will give us solutions. I also found out that activation of the EAC Committee on Trade Remedies, because we're talking of here trade disputes. We thank His Excellency for having brought this trade disputes. And this has been since Eala 4. I've been hearing about Trade Remedies Committee that was not put in place by the Council of Ministers. I don't know what's going on, what they are missing to make sure this committee is put in place. There is also elimination of non-tariff barriers in the EAC. They are just rising every day. Eliminated like 40, but today 100 is coming in with no reasons, impeding on trade, because that trade tracks at the border, These are the things that we need under our core functions to address. There is also review of EAC rules of origin. If we want to have the EAC we want, and also Africa we want, we should make sure the rules of origin is not a matter. We have to go borderless as we talk of origin. Why origin? We are all of us Africans. We should just ascertain trade products or goods that are from Africa. The rest may be outside Africa will be an issue. And then telecommunication service sector in EAC. EAC mutual recognition agreements for movement of professionals. This cross-border trading, free movement of workers, fast-track the process required for the implementation of the AFCFTA. This is the market that is bringing together all traders of EAC, citizens, private sector, and everyone. The operationalization of the Trade Remedies Committee, I have already mentioned, but I have to say, to handle emerging trade-related issues, even with the AFCFTA. Slow implementation of council decisions and the summit resolutions, especially the open skies, the one area network was mentioned, use of single tourist visa, and lack of implementation of mutual recognition agreements. Need for the EAC local content policy. Right, Honorable Speaker, these are the issues I have just tried to find out under our core functions, and they should pass through the committee work so that we can bring solutions and report on that. Thank you very much.
Honorable Rumukiza. Now we go to Honorable Gideon. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank the great Republic of Kenya under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. William Ruto. And I want to thank the leadership of my brother, Honorable Hassan Umar, who have made us, all of us, to feel home. And I know he's a good leader. He's a leader that has a vision for East Africa like some of us. Right Honorable Speaker, I will restrict my speech to 2 items only, item 18 and item 20. But before doing that, Right Honorable Speaker, I've been a beneficiary of the Kenyan politics. I have a school, my primary school was in Kenya, secondary, up to university. I'm doing my doctoral studies in Kenya. So I'm purely here in Kenya, and I am very conversant with how Kenya politics is moving. And one of the leaders that I have admired in my political career as part of the leaders in East Africa is President William Ruto. He's very progressive, he's straightforward thinking with a vision. Right Honorable Speaker, taking this great speech, you can draw 3 things. One is that
President William Ruto is well grounded in fast-tracking the East African integration agenda. He has knowledge about it. He knows about the challenges. He knows about the progress. But he has very well located the functions and the mandate of the East African Parliament as an important organ in the community. Right, Honorable Speaker, the third one is that this speech tells you that East African community is a model of governance that is being promoted by this community. And being a model of good governance, it has to be safeguarded against any malicious interests. It must be safeguarded. Assembly is the right organ or the right institution to do that when it comes to the questions of accountability. I was alarmed and really saddened about the state of our union when I heard of the documents being submitted with such figures being even approved by the Council of Ministers, which is a policy organ of the community. It questions our aspiration as a whole. Where are we heading to? So to protect this model of governance, Right Honorable Speaker, the Assembly under this is great speech, item number 18, is to look at issues which are at the stake in the community. One of them is actually the governance itself. So how do you address the question of governance if you cannot address the issue of corruption? You can't go forward when you don't address the issues of corruption when you are dealing with governance. You must safeguard the continuity and prosperity of the community by ensuring that your resources are being used efficiently and effectively. Second, Right Honorable Speaker, the other issue that is at stake is the peace, stability. Having peaceful region will lead us to achieve the main objectives of the East African community, which is to develop policies and programs aiming to achieve economic, social, political, and cultural development. We cannot achieve that holistic development without safeguarding against any malicious interest in the community. I think it is high time that we need to demonstrate as legislators in the East African Parliament, because we are accountable to our citizens who are contributing taxes for us to be here. How do people feel, the common wananchi, how do they feel when we are dealing with the issues of corruption? I think, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to emphasize one thing before my time ends, that the president was very clear about the issue of persistent non-tariff barriers. This is a question that needs to be addressed with a lot of urgency by the council. The council has to prioritize some key areas in this policy document to be dealt with, but non-tariff barriers need to be addressed. Right Honorable Speaker, I support this motion by my colleague, Honorable Hassan, and I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Gideon. Now we have Honorable Buri Kukie and then Honorable Ngate. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity that you give me to add my voice to this debate, to congratulating His Excellency William Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya. Right Honorable Speaker, let me also thank our colleagues, our Kenyan colleagues, for the willingness and the enthusiasm they have to make us enjoy more this beautiful city of Nairobi. Right Honorable Speaker, I will pick the second paragraph of the speech of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, whereby he appreciates and recognizes the role and the importance of this assembly in advancing advancing the integration agenda of EAC. But unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, we don't see the same spirit. We don't see the same perspective on the side of council. You can even see how they don't value our activities. See the attendance here. How many are there? We should have the same spirit from the Council of Ministers as we see appreciating our role and importance by the summit members. To support my point, Right Honorable Speaker, you cannot imagine, is it proper, is it conceivable that the CEO of EAC, which is supposed to be to spearhead all the activities of EAC, to deny funds for the activities of the assembly? Is it conceivable? I give you an example. There is planned a tour, which you know it is very important for East Africa and the citizens of this region. And I can be mistaken.
Procedure, Honorable
but
Speaker.
I stand to be corrected.
Procedure, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Sanko, procedure.
Honorable Speaker, I think the document of the President's speech is in our tables. Honorable Speaker, we are diverting so much to discuss an honorable member of this House. And you cannot discuss an honorable member without bringing a substantive motion. But we are discussing a member of this House. Honorable Speaker, I think we should stick on the content of the speech, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Even guided you before. I was speaking about the tour with its importance for this community and the citizens of this community. And if I am not mistaken, this activity has no funds so far. I stand to be corrected. And Right Honorable Speaker, I would want to seize this opportunity to implore council members to value the importance of the activity of this assembly. And I take this opportunity to urge this council, this same council, to look with an eagle eye on the day-to-day activity, the day-to-day routine of the Secretariat. With this few, I beg to submit, and I support the motion.
Thank you. Now we go to Honorable Ngate, then Honorable Francine.
Honorable Speaker. First, for giving me the opportunity to add some ideas about the address we did follow yesterday. But first of all, I want to thank our colleague from Kenya for two things. We feel really at home here. And also want to thank them for the assistance given to one lady or young lady who died here. They did give the assistance to expedite the body in DRC. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I cannot be long because I'm limited by the language and so on. But I want to insist on 3 or 4 things which didn't retain my attention yesterday. I think yesterday, we realized that we were before an African leaders
who have a vision for this community. His vision is to transform, as it is said in paragraph 3, to transform and to translate economic, political, social, and cultural integration into a positive impact on the well-being of every citizen in Africa. You know, Honorable Speaker, I was beside Makame. I asked Makame, Madi, my friend, if you have some leader like this, talking like this, why can we be in difficulty in this country? At paragraph 13, it is said that he said that the political federation depends on effective cooperation in political affairs, regional peace, and security. For we, it was a real hope for us that we have the leaders who need peace and security in the region. And it is also added at the paragraph 19 that we want to be EAC. In EAC, we want to be in Africa, peaceful, stable, and secure. All that gives us a real hope. Because at a certain time when we were facing some problem in EAC, we said, what can be the future of the community? But yesterday, we were really happy to hear what was said. Talking about the opening to Atlantic Ocean, that to say, to do the bridge between Atlantic Ocean and Ocean, I said, now it's referring to DRC. And I hope it was also a great problem for us, especially when we said it refers to human resources, natural resources, and the land we have in EAC. But this, I realized that the president was opening the eyes of those who don't know that we have all is necessary to develop Africa. Instead of being pushed by the strange, we're looking for the interest only. We, Africa, we want to face. We have natural resources. We have human resources. We have lands. And we can profit from what we have to develop this community. And he thinks that this is, if you can open our eyes, if you can be clever, because we are blind. We're blind. You can develop this Africa, which can be a real power in Africa. And it gave me as also the opportunity to think that during the meeting to be held in Nairobi soon, I think, because it is said like that, they will talk about development, they will talk about peace, real peace, they will talk about security in Africa, because without things, we cannot be benefiting from what we have. I also support the motion given by Kenya chapter, and thank you very much, Honorable, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Ngate. You had told us that you will be short because of your poor English. But look, you've even gone beyond 5. 5, maybe we'll make 10. Let's go to the next. Honorable Francine.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. I stand to thank the government of the Republic of Kenya, the people of the Kenya, and the chairman, the members of the chapter of Kenya for the hospitality. We are really feeling home, and we are feeling in good hands to conduct our business comfortably. Thank you very much, Chapter Kenya. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise also to support the motion to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya for a very elaborate speech we had yesterday. And I would like to go straight to page 3.7, where he stated that the instruments and the frameworks needed to bring into operation our semi-autonomous institutions, delineate our areas of cooperation, and attend to the pillars of integration are promulgated under the exclusive mandate of this assembly. And that is in order to deliver a robust architecture for the successful delivery of an ambitious program of action. Right Honorable Speaker, from this point, I'm seeing that we are on track only if we are trying to follow and see and fast track the implementation of decisions, directives of the Council, of the Summit, and the recommendations of this Assembly. Right Honorable Speaker, we are having various meetings from the top, from the Summit. They have a number of directives. On the Council of Ministers themselves, they are now providing important decisions. And at the level of the Assembly, we are always providing under our mandate recommendations. And I'm glad that on the front, we have at least 3 members of the ex-officials who are here and listening to what we are talking about today. Because yesterday we listened from a member of the Summit, and they were here. They listened. And today we are enforcing just for them to help us moving forward for the agenda of this community. Right Honorable Speaker, the meetings and the recommendations we have through the meetings are for supporting the strength of the community, but also to advise on the weakness for us to transform them on opportunities for a great development of this community, but also to advise on the way forward. But what we see, our observation as the Assembly, and we have been singing that song for many years, it's the enforcement of the recommendations and directives of our organs. Right Honorable Speaker, this community is driven by direction which is taken by the Summit. But the tires, let's say, are the Council. How are you going to push the direction if the tires are not moving? It is not possible. How is it possible? You can't take the direction, try to push when the tires are not moving. That is a reality. So now the Council, you are here. Ex-officials, you are here. You are the tires. And now we are looking to you to move this bus, this big bus where all of us in the Assembly, we are representing the big number of citizens who are inside that bus. So really, Right Honorable Speaker, my appeal is to urge to the council, and you have a CTC with us. We have the Secretary General with us. Please help us now to move this bus so that we can move the agenda of this community. I submit, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Francine. You said that we have those who are driving, member of the Senate, and we have tires. But and who are we as we are?
We are passengers.
Passengers.
Yes.
Ah. Oh. Okay. Thank you. We go to Honorable Marie Mugenyi. Then we conclude with Honorable Kering Zipora.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also stand to appreciate the event of yesterday. First and foremost,
Honorable Omar, you have to behave a little bit. You've been moving around and around, moving around and around. Please have your seat. Yes, Honorable Mary.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I also want to start by thanking the country, Kenya. Thank you, colleagues, honorable colleagues from Kenya. Thank you, Kenya, as a general state, and the people, and of course, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, for a very good speech, very informative speech. Mr. Speaker, a lot has been said about this speech, even point by point, issues raised. And given the time at which we are, I think there's no need to go through what was said. But I want to acknowledge and be on the Hansard that yesterday we were privileged to listen to a leader that is so knowledgeable, so eloquent, a leader with not only courage, but a vision for Kenya, a vision for East Africa in particular. So thank you so much to His Excellency for the time that he took to come and be with us. Some of us have been following President Ruto over the media, over the social media, particularly on issues that deal with the continent and the region of East Africa with a lot of admiration. So yesterday, I was privileged myself to now see him and listen to him deliver this important information that he has been giving out, including the word financing by the financial institutions that he has talked about a number of times. So really, I appreciate him having come to our parliament to address us. And of course, I appreciate being in Kenya. As someone said, two of us have already mentioned that they have had the privilege to live and benefit from Kenya. I lived in Kenya, in Nairobi in particular, at one time in my life when it was not possible to live at home. And as a matter of fact, as a young woman, just graduated, had my second child in Aga Khan Hospital. It was warm, it was hospitable, and I have, of course, come back over time. Kenya has been sentimentally at my heart as a place where I could go and live as an African. So thank you, Kenya, once again for receiving Eala. Now, I would like also to appreciate him, the President of Kenya, for appreciating and really emphasizing the role that has been played by Eala, by Parliament, in achieving the developments that have already been achieved, and also the role that we need to play as parliamentarians in the work that still has to be done. Many times
you have a feeling that East Africa, or at least the community is not, the leadership of the community is not appreciating Parliament. Many times, from time to time, you come to wonder whether Eala is actually being appreciated, whether it will continue to exist, whether its role is seen, at least by the leadership of the region. So yesterday, again, one of the areas of appreciation and admiration for me was to listen to President Ruto underscoring the role of Parliament of Eala in the integration agenda, in the achievements that have been registered, and also encouraging us to do more in order to move together and achieve our goals. Mr. Speaker, lastly, when listening to President Ruto yesterday, I was just reminded of the many speeches from our summit members that really echo the same, value for integration, encouraging us to do more, showing us the role, the use, the value, really leadership of the summit that says this is the direction that we need to take. So I keep wondering, where is the problem then when it comes to actually moving together towards achieving the pillars of integration, more especially the area of political integration? Is it with the legislators? Is it the citizenry? Is it the civil service? Where is the problem? Because the leadership of EAC is echoing the same message, the importance of the East African integration. And it can also be seen by the fact that we are growing over time. Therefore, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice in appreciating the speech of His Excellency William Ruto yesterday, and also to say that East Africa has a future listening to such a bright young leader with enthusiasm about our integration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mary. Honorable Shaban, you were not there, but we looked for you, but we didn't find you. So we have Honorable Zipporah. Then maybe we'll close our eyes. You'll give you a chance. Then we go to exception members.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Let me take this opportunity to thank His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto for the elaborate speech that he gave that really made us to understand where East Africa is, where it's supposed to be, and how it's supposed to go there. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to say thank you so much for my colleagues who have spoken before me, and more so, the more thanks that you've given to Kenya. I was seated here and wondering if the kind words that you've used to describe Kenya, if the kind words, the strong sentiments that you've given us about Kenya, just through this speech from our dear president. And you see, if we have had an opportunity to maybe sponsor a dinner, we would be thinking you are thanking us because the amount of food and the kind of food you've taken. But the kind words you are telling us is about what the president was able to say through his speech. But nevertheless, I want to say you'll still have an opportunity to thank us because our dear minister, who is seated with us here today, we were telling her when we come to Kenya for plenary, she should be able to distribute our credit cards in the hotels here in Nairobi so that as you go there, you simply go with your badge and you are sorted there. And those are joints that are actually licensed. So you shouldn't worry about that.
So she'll pay for us?
Yeah, yes, you will see me so that I give you the pin, because you need the pin. Otherwise, Right Honorable Speaker, let me also join, I think, our mover, who I want to really thank our chair chapter for this kind of motion that he moved, and also Sangok and probably the Kenyans who have spoken. Forgot to tell you that, look at the kindness, look at the love that we Kenyans have for you people, that we were able to give you a brand new building that has never been handed over to do the committees. The Bunge building that is here. It has never been used. We are using it for the first time. So we must leave blessings in those buildings as we sit there. So that is the kind gesture that our government has actually accorded Eala. And our president spoke yesterday. And Right Honorable Speaker, there is one thing I believe in, that we are in a place for a season for a reason. We are in East Africa as legislative members of that assembly in this season for a reason. And the reason is what the president told us yesterday. We have all the mechanisms. And I'm sure in his speech, he spoke and he said, each one, each instrument, each institution has its own mandate. I want to urge my colleagues here that when you look at 18, that I know my first speakers have spoken about it, that the work that this assembly does matters. And I underline the word matters. We must therefore remain focused on what is at stake, committed to completing the outstanding work, and determined to do our best at all times when called upon to serve the people of East Africa. Right Honorable Speaker, that takes me to number 6. Where in number 6, His Excellency the President spoke about the 4 protocols that we need to have done away with, that we need to implement. And I want to urge my colleagues, because there is one that he actually stressed about. That is the last pillar, the political federation, where he also spoke about the 3 countries that have actually done their public participation, that is Burundi, Uganda, and Kenya. Personally, I managed to get crushed and attended one in Kenya in the Western region. My brother Shabal talked about one that was in Mombasa. I get crushed to one that was in Western Kenya. But you see, because I get crushed, I will not be given an opportunity to give my view. But I also sat there, I just sat there just to be introduced and to listen. But from that meeting, I realized if Eala members were incorporated into those public participation, I'm telling you, these are the people who will actually carry this and ensure that it comes to its conclusion in a not a long time. I now want to urge my members that have not been done in their countries, that whether you'll be invited or not, can you please get Grash and get into those meetings? Just get the program. Whether you are facilitated or not, get to that program and you will actually find out that you'll be very important and you'll be counted to be part of this 4th pillar. Otherwise,
you are already
Right Honorable Speaker, as I sit, I want to tell my colleagues that feel comfortable in Kenya, you are safe. If where you are, you find that you are not properly taken care of, we are here to change you from where you are to another place. But what we want to do is to ensure each one of you keep a smile on your face until we finish this plenary. Thank you so much. I submit.
Now, Honorable Shaban.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support the Honorable Hassan Omar in his motion in complimenting the President's speech. And I would like to add one or two things that the President has raised, which requires our serious consideration, particularly Article number 25, where he wrote to ameliorate the resource constraints that persistently hamper our progress. This assembly is called upon to reflect deeply on the range of opportunities and the various ways in which it can complement national and regional efforts to mobilize and allocate more resources to the regional integration agenda. Now, His Excellency raised the challenge. And the challenge that I see is that I, as an African, I'm fed up of hearing, oh, Africa is the richest country, oh, Africa's got the most resources, oh, Africa is, I mean, that is a lot of hot air. Resources in the ground that do not support our people are worthless to us. So what is important for us is how do we take these opportunities, whether it is gold, whether it is fishing, whether it is mining, whether it is whatever, how do we take them from opportunities into viable, bankable projects that will create wealth and jobs? That is what counts. And I want to say very clearly that Africa's challenge is not a shortage of capital. I'm repeating that again. It is not a shortage of capital, but it is a way in which we are trying to raise money. Our dependence on looking for donors and looking for foreigners to come and do things for us automatically leads us to being exploited. And I think it is time that we follow what His Excellency says and let us find alternative ways. Now, I want to give you two examples. In 2015, a small Kenyan company called Gulf Energy raised $2.2 billion to build a 1,050 megawatt power plant. A small Kenyan company. Why? Because they took a viable opportunity and made it a bankable project. And once it became bankable, the donors came in, the funders came in, the investors came in, everybody wanted to jump on that bandwagon. That is proof that if a small company can do that, and had they succeeded in this, it would have been the largest infrastructure project in East and Central Africa. The project failed not because of lack of capital, but because of geopolitics, which Sankok had nothing to do with. The second example that I want to give to you, my dear colleagues, is I started an affordable housing project in Mombasa. Not one bank was willing to finance us. But the day it became successful, every single bank was lining up to give us money, which is an indication that we need to take an opportunity and make it viable and show people that this is viable. So proof of concept is important. We in Africa suffer from the perception that there's too much risk, but risk has mitigants. So you take an idea and you identify the risks and convert it into a bankable project, and the money will come. And that money, most of it is available within Africa itself. And these opportunities exist in every East African country. So what am I proposing? I'm proposing that our Committee for Communication, Trade and Investment, the CTI Committee, will put up a motion to propose the setting up of an East African Investment Bank, whose job will be to take ideas and opportunities into bankable projects and raise money for them across the East African spectrum. And this is not like the EADB, East African Development Bank. We don't even know who owns that bank now. But we need a bank that will drive investment into East Africa, that will be owned by East Africans, that will then invite other parties to come in. Finally, Mr. Speaker, number 26 of the President's speech, he invited us to make sure that we participate in the World Bank's Group International Development Association Summit that will be held in April. I am begging you, Mr. Speaker, sir, to make sure that Eala is well represented there. Thank you very much.
Did you support the motion?
100%.
Thank you.
I support the motion.
Thank you. Now we go to, if there is any ex-official member who would like to take the floor, you have it. If there is no issue, we proceed. Yes, Honorable Estri.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you and indeed the members for this opportunity, but also congratulate you and the Assembly. In the spirit of rotational sittings, you chose Kenya to host this sitting, and indeed want just to inform you, just like all the partner states in East Africa, Kenya remains very inclusive, accommodative, and I'm sure you take time while you're here to explore the magic Kenya. And we were invited to do so by His Excellency the President when he gave his speech yesterday. But also thank you, Speaker, and the members for also prioritizing this item in your calendar. And in that, I want to thank the Honorable Omar Hassan for moving this very important motion. And right from the outset, I support. Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank His Excellency the President for not only giving a very great speech, but also for giving a strategic view on how he foresees our community going forward, Mr. Speaker. And also he brought out some of the things that he thinks we should focus on. He spoke of a very expanded East African community. As we speak now, we are 8 partner states of the East African community, thanks to the members of the summit for admitting the Federal Republic of Somalia in November last year. But also wish to inform you that the Federal Republic of Somalia deposited their instruments with the Secretary General 2 days ago. And therefore now, Mr. Speaker, the next sitting, or possibly the coming sittings, you'll be bigger, you'll be having a bigger voice, because you'll be having members of this assembly coming from the Federal Republic of Somalia. I've already given a guideline and a roadmap to the government, and I'm sure they will also be joining in all the activities. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure you, as the President said, we are talking of 350 million people now in our community, and that's a huge market. We are talking of 5 million square kilometer size of our community, and therefore there's no reason whatsoever to see our people in East Africa go without food, because we take advantage of this expanded land to ensure there's enough food supply and security. We are talking about GDP of 350 billion people. And therefore, going forward, you'll not be surprised to see more members join this community, because as the President said, it is the most progressive now regional economic bloc. Thanks to the members of the summit, but also to the people of East Africa for continuously putting pressure to ensure that their community serves their interests, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, looking at the bigger picture, which I think is very important, and in fact, I want to invite the private sector and fully associate myself with the Honorable Shabal and his comments, that we need to move to invite the private sector to take advantage of this expanded now market, but also to ensure that they invest. We are talking of 3,300 kilometers coastline of the Federal Republic of Somalia, plus the 1,400 from the Republic of Kenya, 1,500 kilometers from United Republic of Tanzania. And that gives to almost 5,000 or 6,000 kilometers coastline, which is the longest in Africa. What does that mean? It means now the cost of goods coming to East Africa will be cheaper. And it means even the goods coming into and out of East Africa will be competitive. And that is for the interest of the people of East Africa. And that's how we need to create wealth. We need to put a lot of energy in wealth creation and creating jobs for our youth and for our population. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to, as I finalize, Mr. Speaker, I want to carefully listen, and I've carefully listened, the issues that members of the summit are addressing. They are talking of the market, their community expanding, but at the same time they are saying, and I want to associate fully with members of this assembly, when they are saying, we implore the council to ensure that they increase budget to accommodate this increasing number of activities in our community, if we were to have a meaningful community. At the same time, the summit is directed that we need to rationalize the costs of running the community. So it's that time we need to strike balance to ensure that the effectiveness of the community is meaningfully serving the people of East Africa, looking at the bigger picture. But the issues raised by members in relation to their participation in activities and programs due to issues of budgets, this is something well noted. And we will continue. And for your information, on the 27th of this month to 31st, we are inviting members of the council for a retreat, and we kept on talking about it, to see where they could address some of the issues that members kept on talking about. The issues of their visit and their tours, to appreciate the kind of instruments and infrastructure we have. It is a priority in the list. And I want to fully associate myself with that. And therefore, honorable members, we need to implore patience. We need to appreciate that the community is growing. And like any other child who is growing, there are always those teething problems. Problems will be there. Challenges will be there. But we must not accept to stay below the challenges. Let us rise above the challenges, look at the bigger picture and have a community that is serving the people of East Africa. The summit directed that we prioritize, and we are meeting to, of course, interrogate the communication, the communique of the summit. And these are some of the things that you'll be evaluating so that we have a community that is functioning. I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and members, for strictly keeping and respecting the speech of the president to address the issues that are raised in the speech and not getting out of the issue, because that's the only way we respect a member of the summit, we respect the country, and respect the mover of the motion who has moved that we focus and strictly stick to this. I want to thank you, and I support and thank Honorable Omar for moving the motion. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable ST. If there is any, I now have, do you want the floor, Honorable Minister, or so you okay? Yes, please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to add my voice on behalf of the Council Chair and also on behalf of the Council members. On the onset, Honorable Speaker, allow me to welcome you once again in the chambers, in the Parliament chambers in Nairobi, Kenya. And we always say the home of human origin. Honorable Speaker, I would also love to join the members of this assembly in congratulating His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, for his inspirational and yet a call on action speech. Honorable Speaker, yesterday marked a great day for us, the beginning of vibrancy for the great East Africa community, as we saw the executive, the council, the legislative, and even a member of summit present when such a speech was delivered in a very fullest and fertile ground in our country. Honorable Speaker,
allow me to pick on the conclusion remarks of His Excellency, the President, and the challenge that was laid down to this great house and community governing bodies as a whole. In his speech, he remained focused on what is at stake and reminded this house to commit in completing the outstanding integration pillars work and be determined to do our best at all times when called upon to serve the people of East Africa community. And number two, to provide a strong framework for achieving rabbit leaping, frogging, and the development of sustainable competitive advantage in emerging high-tech fields like digital economy and social intelligence. Honorable Speaker, he went on to lend our support, to ask for support to the African leaders' Nairobi Declaration and call to action on climate change and sustainable development, which I have listened and the members have addressed this. And finally, to reflect deeply on the range of opportunities and the various ways in which it can complement national and regional efforts to mobilize and allocate more resources to the regional integration agenda, as well as to reflect deeply on the debt management. Honorable Speaker, before I conclude, the Republic of Kenya has aligned its programs to the bottom-up economic transformation agenda by implementing programs targeted at increasing East Africa trade and developing regional value chains, creating awareness on the trade and investment opportunities available in the East Africa region to not only Kenyans, but to the entire community. Honorable Speaker, I would want to address myself to the many matters that has been laid by the Honorable House in the matters concerning the Council. As highlighted by the Secretary General, we will be meeting for a retreat in the third week of this month to stocktake and also reflect on where we've come as a council, but more so to forge a speedy strategy on some of the pivotal remarks elaborated by this Honorable Assembly, as well as the speech of the President. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I have observed the ESC slogan on one people, one dignity. However, one destiny. Am I right? Yes. Honorable Speaker, I have keenly looked at this and observed that there is a missing word between the two words. And this word is none other than one voice. And therefore, Honorable House, let's speak in one voice as we forge forward, and we will grow to a very strong community. I submit, Honorable Speaker, and support the motion. Thank you.
So the slogan should be one people, one voice, one destiny.
Yes.
All right, good. Thank you, honorable members, for your contribution. Now I invite the mover for the motion to give his remarks.
Speaker, procedure before.
Yeah.
Procedure before we start. Just a matter of procedure.
Yes.
Honorable Speaker, I'm raising under our rules of procedure on rule number 40, personal explanations. 40. Rules of procedure. Yes, Honorable Speaker. Yes, with leave of the Speaker, that is with your permission, Honorable Speaker, a member may explain a matter of personal nature, although there is no question before the House, but such matter may not be debated. Honorable Speaker, I want to seek your indulgence that you allocate a day of your own choice that we discuss a matter that is very important of kind of personal in nature, but also cross-border in nature, where there were two groups that fought in Zanzibar and were forced with Honorable Falahada Iman to travel all the way to Zanzibar because one community was being victimized simply because they were having rungus and shukas and traditional attires. So, Honorable Speaker, I seek your indulgence that you may allocate time next week or any other day that we discuss under rule of procedure, our rules of procedure, number 40, Honorable Speaker.
You should formally submit it to us.
Yes.
Then we will look into that and we will guide you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand guided.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
Now I give the floor to Honorable Hassan Omar.
Mr. Speaker, I want to first and foremost thank all the members who made their contributions and supported the motion without any divergent opinions and reached through facts and other proclamations the speech of His Excellency the President. I want to thank the following members for having contributed to this motion: the Honorable Dennis Namara, the Honorable Musamali Paul, the Honorable Ayason Mukuria, the Honorable Clement Musangat Batware, the Honorable Dr. Paul Abdallah Makame, the Honorable George Odongo, the Honorable Kanini Kega, the Honorable Caroline Kanyonga, the Honorable Rose Akulu Akol, the Honorable Matthias Harabab Mungu, the Honorable David Olesankok, the Honorable Dr. Siranda Joseph Black, the Honorable Dr. Kakoza, yeah, double O is Kako, yes. The Honorable Dr. Wada, the Honorable Maina Karobia, the Honorable Kim Guy, the Honorable Ngwaru Magemba, the Honorable Saadia Sabit, the Honorable Francois, the Honorable Gideon Gatpan, the Honorable Victor Burikukie, the Honorable Ngate Mungu Papa, the Honorable Francine Rutazana, the Honorable Mary Mugenyi, the Honorable Suleiman Shabal, the Honorable Zipporah Kering, the Honorable Secretary General Peter Mathuki, the Honorable Minister Penina Malonza. Pardon? And the Honorable self. I therefore want to really thank all of you for the extraordinary kind words you spoke about Honorable. Yeah? Yeah, I mentioned them by name. Yeah, for the honorable members for the kind words and the great remarks you made about President William Ruto. Should I get the opportunity together with other members, I will express directly the appreciation and the thanks of this House for the great words. And I hope it will drive the policy orientation of this assembly and move it forward. I take great note of the reforms that have been asked for. I take great note of the fact that we must develop teeth. I take great note of what the minister has said, that this is a fresh start. Eala will never be the same again. And as you move forward, particularly those who are serving their second term, I think you need to leave this assembly with a bang, and this is your opportunity to make that difference. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I was very anxious that some of you might refer yourself specifically to paragraph 31 of the president's speech, but none of you did. So therefore, where the president said, I urge Omar Hassan, the chair of the Kenyan chapter of the assembly, to use this session to introduce you to the warmth and hospitality of our country. Since none of you, By the way, this is part of I wanted to address ourselves that this is a part of an ongoing program that we have from the time you came in to the time of your departure. We'll make it as comfortable as possible. I can see the program is extremely congested. The minister here, Penina Malonza, CS, is also the immediate former Minister of Tourism and Wildlife. We therefore will benefit immensely by association with her to see what else we can fit in the program that will have you to explore the magical Kenya in your own unique way. For that, I thank you, everybody. I thank the members of Eala. I thank you for your kind words and your hospitality and generosity. God bless you.
Thank you, honorable members. It's clear that we have been granted a very, very great speech from a statesman, an East African leader, a great leader. Every one of us have been touched. He addressed us about issues which were very, very important in our community: peace and security, conflict resolution, roots, common roots as East Africans, economy, good governance, etc. And all of us, we're in the spirit of supporting this motion. With that, honorable members, I put this question that this assembly do resolve to record its comments to appreciate His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, President of Republic of Kenya, for the impetus, guidance, and clear vision on the East African community integration agenda during his address to the East African Legislative Assembly on Tuesday, 5th March 2024. Those who are in favor say aye. Those who are against say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, I have 3 communications to address you before we adjourn. I have to confirm that the document, as I said before, that we received here, we'll have to look into them carefully, and on Tuesday we will rule on how to deal with those documents. Afternoon, the plenary. Second, we have been invited by the Right Honorable Moses Wetangula. He has invited all Eala members. There is a dinner cocktail tomorrow, Thursday, 7th March 2024, at 7:15 p.m. in the Bunge Restaurant Gardens, where we were yesterday. Please, honorable colleagues, let's respond to my colleague, the Speaker of the National Assembly of Kenya. Let's respond to his invitation. Third one, it is to adjourn. I adjourn this House to Thursday. What? Tuesday, yes, I said Tuesday, 12th March 2024 at 2:30 p.m. in the same chamber. Thank you.